wealthy Trump supporters who've turned on him. They appear to be panicking and pushing back in ways that we're not used to seeing because the stock market is crashing. Anyone could see that coming, right? I'm not a financial guru, but if you're going to do this, you're going to have global implications. And now, well, just like that, it happened quickly too, just like real smart people said it would. So let's listen to this. President Trump, boy, this is different, being defensive, if you will, with reporters when pressed on the stock market.
That there was some sort of deliberate effort on your part to have the market sell off. Can you talk about that?
No, that's not so. But I do want to solve the deficit problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations.
Is there pain in the market? At some point, you're unwilling to tolerate this idea of a Trump put. Is there a threshold?
I think your question is so stupid. I think it's I don't want anything to go down. But sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something.
On the tariffs, is it a negotiation now? Bloomberg, sir. Is it a negotiation or rules of the road?
Go ahead, another question, please.
Sir, about TikTok.
She has too many questions.
Just the behavior of a fool. You're the leader of the free world, for how much longer we'll see. And you won't answer just simple questions. Everybody's stupid. Next, she asked too many questions. You didn't answer one. Donald Trump would continue being defensive on Truth Social, posting the United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Don't be weak. Don't be stupid. Don't be a panicking. A new party based on weak and stupid people. He can coin a phrase, can he? Be strong, courageous, and patient, and greatness will be the result. However, some of his best friend billionaires would disagree. Wealthy supporters not happy about losing money due to the tariffs effect, instant effect on the stock market. All white guys too. Anyway, Elon Musk has distanced himself from President Donald Trump on the ongoing trade war and tariffs, torching the administration's ranking trade officials as they defended the policy that has tanked markets. The Tesla and SpaceX CEO, whose net worth has taken a $30 billion beating since Donald Trump's tariffs rocked global markets, clearly not on board with the president's economic strategy. So they're differing minds, differing opinions. Throughout the weekend, Musk targeted his ire at Trump administration officials, making media appearances back in the new tariffs. During a CBS Face the Nation appearance on Sunday, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick justified the move to tax goods from penguin-inhabited Heard and McDonald Island, saying if you leave anything off the list, countries that try to arbitrage America try to go through those countries to get to us. Musk replied on X, quote, "This is funny." Okay. X owner also lobbed grenades at Trump trade architect Peter Navarro after he downplayed recession fears, mocking his Harvard economics credentials as a liability. A PhD in econ from Harvard is a bad thing, not a good thing. He ain't built. Musk added in a further post. So they're just going back and forth here. However, Navarro would respond to Elon's comments. Let's watch this.
He also took a shot at you personally on X, and he's going against the administration with respect to the tariff policy. The president has said in the coming months he may leave the administration. Peter, is there a rift internally?
No, I mean, look, Elon, when he's in his Doge lane is great, but we understand what's going on here. We just have to understand. Elon sells cars, and he's in Texas assembling cars that have big parts of that car from Mexico, China. The batteries come from Japan or China. The electronics come from Taiwan. And he's simply protecting his own interests, as any business person would do. We're more concerned about Detroit building Cadillacs with American engines. And that's what this is all about. So it's fine. There's no riff here.
So everything he said there is up for grabs. You pick, parse it however you want to, up for grabs, I'll call it. By the way, Detroit needs parts from other places too, don't they? Can't make everything here, right? A billionaire hedge fund manager, Bill Ackman, Trump 2024 mega donor, took to X this week to skewer Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick's Wall Street ties and accuse him of seeking to profit from the economic chaos. That's a lovely thought. Markets reeling from last week's sweeping tariffs. The Dow down 8.75%, the Nasdaq off 10.6%, the S&P 500 sliding 9.9%. Ackman spent Sunday pleading with Trump for a 90-day pause to give time for trade negotiations and avoid a global loss of confidence in the U.S. before he unleashed on what he said was Lutnick's glaring and irreconcilable conflict of interest. Posted on X, I just figured out why Howard Lutnick is indifferent to the stock market and the economy crashing. He and Cantor are long bonds. He profits when our economy implodes. It's a bad idea to pick a Secretary of Commerce whose firm is leveraged long fixed income. It's an irreconcilable conflict of interest. Anybody who backs Donald Trump and is a mega donor of Donald Trump, who then speaks about conflicts of interest, it's rich. It's rich in my book. Let's get to Jamie Dimon, the JP Morgan Chase CEO, changing his tune about the tariffs newly announced by President Donald Trump. Previously in January, Dimon downplayed the impact of tariffs and argued national security benefits could outweigh any hit to the economy. Quote, I would put it in perspective if it's a little inflationary, but it's good for national security. So be it, Dimon said. I mean, get over it. Spoken like only a CEO who receives government handouts and makes tens and tens, I don't know, it could be 100 million a year. We'll get you the information. Get over it. Oh, boy. However, this week, in his annual letter to shareholders published on Monday, Dimon warned of the potential impact of the president's tariffs. The recent tariffs will likely increase inflation and are causing many to consider a greater probability of a recession, Dimon wrote. He added, whatever you think of the legitimate reasons for the newly announced tariffs, and of course, there are some, for the long-term effect, good or bad, there are likely to be important short-term effects. Mediate with the reporting, helping out. As for the short term, we are likely to see inflationary outcomes not only on imported goods, but on domestic prices. As input costs rise and demand increases on domestic products, how this plays out on different products will partially depend on their sustainability maybe, and price elasticity. Whether or not the menu of tariffs causes a recession remains in question, but it will slow down growth. Then there's Dave Portnoy, who is the Barstool Sports founder. He didn't mince words at all, as he pointedly blasted President Trump during a Monday morning live stream as markets open, raging at his 20 million in losses. Boy, all these people so privileged. Triggered by tariff-induced economic carnage. During the live stream, Portnoy tore into Trump's aggressive tariffs on imported goods, what CNBC host Jim Cramer predicted would be a Black Monday. Portnoy branded Orange Monday. Squarely blaming the president for triggering a market nosedive. This is a decision that one guy made that crashed the whole market. Portnoy fumed. That's why we're calling it Orange Monday. Portnoy watched live as the S&P 500 plunged 4% at opening, capping a brutal 3-day stretch of 13% losses. It's worse since 2008's financial crisis. The Dow shed another 1,363 points. The Nasdaq off 26% from its high. Portnoy, vocal Trump backer in recent years, didn't hold back. I didn't love seeing Trump on the golf course playing his course championship and being like, I'm a very low handicap, he said. Stock market is getting crushed. I've lost 20% of my net worth. You're out on the golf course? Portnoy didn't just vent for rich guy solidarity. He framed the fallout as a threat to media and working class livelihoods. When do you care? You think if I'm losing money, if the stock market is tanking, that only affects rich people, he said? Well, we're probably affected the least. Now, that's about the only honest thing some of these rich guys have been saying. I guess weigh in, Tehran. I want you to talk about both who's commenting, what they're saying, and oh yeah, what about us?
Well, one thing that is known for sure is that President Trump, the case for President Trump was based on the economy. That's what people kept saying. They refused to say it was for racism. They used the code word economy. Well, now we're looking at the economy and it's tanking. So now what's the excuse? That's what my question is to people. What is the excuse? You have a president in office who has forcefully, and by the way, when people are saying this isn't on purpose, either you're a horrible business person or this has to be on purpose. Either way, this is happening as we speak. A person who's bankrupted almost every single business that they have owned themselves is now bankrupting the newest company that he has been put in charge of, which is the United States of America. So you're watching everyone tank, you're watching questions being asked and not being answered, because even though this administration ran on transparency, nothing has been transparent thus far. And here's the thing, I'm not even talking about politics. I'm simply talking about the principles. The principles is that when the economy tanks, the realest thing that was said was it doesn't really affect those rich guys because they're billionaires. And if a person with $300 billion loses $100 billion, they still have $200 billion. Do you know what happens to someone who has $300 and they lose $200? They only have $100 left to pay their food, their mortgage, everything, their rent, all the things that are necessary. That is what we're seeing happening to people as we speak. By the way, a new report came out and said that, well, actually unemployment is down. It's down 0.1%. Uber drivers should not count, because in the future there will be way more Uber drivers than there are people actually needing to be Ubered to work, because there will be no jobs left. That is where we're at and where this crisis lays. The tariffs, this is consistently, historically a horrible idea. We have seen that. Now, the idea behind the tariffs is that thought process that we want the consumer in America to buy American products. I completely agree with that. But that's a culture change, not a financial or economic repression, oppression, suppression change. That has never worked in the past, and it will not work in the future, as we are seeing now. S&P 500 index is down 20%. You're watching the Dow Jones go down, record numbers. This is a crisis.
Yeah. This is even worse than, the town criers who warned one of the colonizers, we'll say Columbus. It's flat and you're gonna sail right off the end of the earth, they said. Well, I'm not mad at them because they didn't know. They hadn't been out there, they hadn't tapped in. These people know what's going to happen here, okay? And you got this one guy who is, looking like a sausage in his golf outfit and golfing away at one of his properties to benefit him, saying, oh, no, it's gonna be beautiful. Next question, okay?